Yes, my friends, the Detroit Lions just made a move that has fans and analysts excited, and if you're here, you probably want to know what's going on. Let me tell you something. Brad Holmes is making sure that what happened in 2024 doesn't happen again in 2025. The Lions are taking action, and today, we need to talk about the latest updates. I'll tell you everything in a moment, but first, make sure you've hit the like button if you've been a Detroit Lions fan for over 15 years. It's great to see fans of all ages. If possible, write something like, "Go Lions, let's roar loud." Lions fans, we know how this franchise operates during free agency. It's usually one of the quietest. But today, the front office decided to shake things up with a signing that could have serious implications for the secondary. The Lions have officially signed former second-round pick Jahmyr St, a veteran cornerback who has spent time with the Colts, Raiders, Ravens, and most recently, the 49ers. Now, before you start celebrating or panicking, let's dive into what this means for the team. First, let's break down the basics. Jahmyr St is 5'11", 195 pounds, and is just a few months shy of his 29th birthday. He was originally drafted by the Indianapolis Colts in the second round of the 2019 NFL Draft, ahead of big names like Deebo Samuel and DK Metcalf. That's right, teams thought so highly of him that he was taken ahead of two of the league's most explosive wide receivers. But did he live up to that billing? That's where things get interesting. Looking at his career, he's been something of a journeyman. After 3 seasons in Indianapolis, he landed with the Raiders before making stops in Baltimore and San Francisco. In 2024, he played 13 games with the 49ers, tallying 3 solo tackles and 2 passes defended. Solid? Sure. Spectacular? Not quite. In fact, his Pro Football Focus PFF grade from last season was just 44.2, ranking him 204th out of 222 cornerbacks. Ouch, that's not exactly what you want to see when your team makes a free agent signing, right? But here's where it gets even more intriguing. This signing probably signals the end of the road for at least one current Lions cornerback. The most likely casualty? Emmanuel Moseley. Given Mosley's lack of production and injury struggles, it wouldn't be shocking if the Lions decided to move on. Another name to keep an eye on is Khalil Dorsey. With St now in the mix, the depth chart is starting to get crowded, and that usually means someone is on the way out. Now, let's be real. This isn't the splash move that fans were hoping for. The secondary has been a major focus for Brad Holmes, and he's invested heavily in that area over the past few years. In last year's draft, he took Terrion Arnold in the first round and Ennis Rakestraw Jr. in the second. Add those two to the mix, along with Cam Sutton and Brian Branch, and suddenly, the Lions have a lot of bodies in the defensive backfield. But do they have enough playmakers?
That's the million-dollar question, because while the secondary is getting all the attention, the pass rush still feels like an afterthought. And if you've been paying attention, you know that's been a recurring theme. The Lions have yet to land a true impact edge rusher to pair with Aidan Hutchinson, and this offseason hasn't changed that. Maybe they're planning to address it in the draft, but as of right now, the front office is stacking up defensive backs while the pass rush remains a question mark. So where does that leave us? Jahmyr St is here. He's a depth piece, nothing more, nothing less. Maybe he carves out a bigger role, maybe he doesn't. But one thing is certain, Brad Holmes is all in on building up this secondary, and whether you agree with the strategy or not, this is the direction the team is going. Now, I need to hear from you. What do you think about the signing? Do you think Jahmyr St can make an impact? Or is this just another rotational piece? And more importantly, are you getting as frustrated as I am about the lack of investment in the pass rush? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and let's talk about it. Because one thing is for sure, 2025 is going to be a big year for this defense, and the decisions being made right now are going to shape what happens on the field. Let's see if they got it right. And here's where things get even more frustrating for Lions fans. We've been watching Brad Holmes operate for years now, and we've seen the pattern. He's obsessed with the secondary. But at what point does this team stop loading up on defensive backs and start addressing what really makes a defense dominant? We're talking about the pass rush. Let's take a step back. The Lions have been on the verge of something special. 2024 was a brutal reminder that while the offense is capable of putting up points, the defense still has glaring weaknesses, most notably the inability to consistently pressure opposing quarterbacks. quarterbacks. Aidan Hutchinson has been phenomenal, but where's his help? Where's the guy on the other side who can collapse the pocket and make life miserable for elite QBs? That's been the missing piece, and it's still missing. And yet, instead of going all in on fixing that issue, we get Amon-Ra St. Don't get me wrong, depth is important. Having experienced players in the secondary matters. But when you look at the overall construction of this roster, you start to wonder, does Brad Holmes even see the same problems that we do? Think about this. Last year, with the 28th pick, Holmes moved up and grabbed Terrion Arnold. In the second round, he doubled down with Ennis Rakestraw Jr. That's 2 premium draft picks spent on corners. Meanwhile, the defensive line got DJ Reader, and while he's a solid addition, he's not an edge rusher. The Lions still don't have that one guy who can change a game from the edge opposite Hutch. So what's the plan? Is Holmes banking on the draft again? Because if he is, he needs to be aggressive. This isn't the time to take a developmental prospect who might pan out in 3 years. It's time to get someone who can contribute right away. Otherwise, we're looking at another season of Hutchinson facing constant double teams while quarterbacks sit back in clean pockets and pick the secondary apart, no matter how many corners we stack back there. And let's be real, Amon-Ra St is not a game changer. His numbers don't lie. He's never played a full season. He's never been a top-tier corner. His PFF grades have been below average for years. He's a rotational guy, a depth piece. He's not a guy who's going to transform this defense overnight. So what are we doing here? Is this just another example of Holmes adding another body to the secondary just because he can? Or is there a bigger move coming? That's the real question. If the Lions walk into the 2025 season with this same defensive front, we're going to see the same problems play out again. The offense is going to have to win shootouts, and the defense is going to struggle to close out games against elite quarterbacks. So here's what I need to know from you. Are you on board with this strategy? Do you think this secondary-heavy approach is the right move? Or are you just as frustrated as I am about the lack of investment in the pass rush? Because right now, I'm looking at this roster, and I'm seeing a defense that still has major question marks. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's have this discussion, because one way or another, 2025 is going to tell us everything we need to know about Brad Holmes' vision. If this defense takes a step forward, he'll look like a genius. If not, we'll be right back here next offseason asking the same question, where's the pass rush? Let's talk about it. And here's the thing, this isn't just about frustration. It's about expectation. The Detroit Lions are no longer that scrappy underdog team just trying to make the playoffs. Those days are gone. This is a team that was a few plays away from the Super Bowl. A team that has raised the bar so high that anything less than a deep playoff run in 2025 is going to feel like a massive disappointment. So when you see a move like this, Amon-Ra St coming in as a depth piece, you start to wonder, is this really moving the needle? Because let's be honest, the Lions aren't in a position where they just need solid or serviceable guys. They need game changers. They need difference makers. They need someone who can step onto the field and instantly make life miserable for an opposing offense. And instead, we get another cornerback in a secondary that already has plenty of pieces. Sure, depth is important. Injuries happen. You can never have too many guys ready to step in. But let's put this into perspective. What's going to have a bigger impact on this defense? Adding another depth corner or adding a dominant pass rusher who forces quarterbacks into mistakes? Every great defense in NFL history has one thing in common, an elite pass rush. You want to talk about the 49ers, the Eagles, the Cowboys, the Steelers in their prime? It all started up front. It always starts up front. Cornerbacks only look great when the quarterback is under pressure. Even the best DBs in the league can't cover forever. And yet, here we are again. Another year. Another offseason. Another investment in the secondary. Meanwhile, we're all still waiting for that one move that makes us say, yes, this is the moment. This is the move that pushes us over the top. Go Lions!